Destiny. A word that brings to mind fortune tellers, crystal balls, and one that's often dismissed for a lack of scientific validation. But I believe that destiny is rooted in science. Some people are destined to be tall, others to be short. These things aren't mystical, it's encoded in our DNA. We each carry 2 copies of every gene, one from our mum, the other from our dad. However, sometimes we inherit too many or not enough copies of these genes, and we call these copy number variations. And some of these can play a big part in designing your genetic destiny. So my question is, how can I harness the power of a genetic destiny to help combat cancer? Or more specifically, how can I help the 380,000 women worldwide who are expected to develop endometrial cancer each and every year? Endometrial cancer occurs in the lining of a woman's uterus, and some women are born with a genetic predisposition to developing the disease. For women carrying this risk, it's like walking around the top of a cliff, blindfolded. The longer they remain unaware of this risk and keep on walking, the far more likely they are to stumble off. But if we know the genetic change is responsible, we can start to map their path and work towards steering them away from that cliff edge with prevention strategies. We have access to genetic data from over 20,000 women from all around the world, making this the largest study of its kind ever conducted. And these women form 2 groups, those that have developed endometrial cancer and those that haven't. And using this data, we compare the 2 groups by asking the same single question billions of times. Which bits of DNA are unique to the women who have developed endometrial cancer? Now, the final output ends up looking a lot like a Manhattan skyline. There's a lot of buildings, a lot of information, but we're after those Empire State Buildings. These are our genetic crystal balls. These point us to locations where those copy number variants I spoke about earlier occur more commonly among the women who have developed cancer. We now have genetic landmarks that allow us to zoom in and start asking why. Why do copy number variants in these genes predispose a woman to developing cancer? What is it about them that steers her towards that cliff? My hope is that we stop waiting for women to stumble off the cliff before stepping in to help. I think that we can and we should do better. If we understand the genetics underlying endometrial cancer risk, we can take off those blindfolds and start putting safety barriers up for those women that need it. Thank you.